Mr. Deputy Speaker, thank you very much indeed for calling me. I'm aware that the honourable gentleman from Cambridge is poised to introduce his own bill addressing a very important issue. And my honourable friend the Minister, for whom I'll shortly be PPSing, will be cross at me if I give her cause to have to reduce her no doubt excellent speech by too much. There may even be some colleagues who are in a rush to get home because their own parking will be expiring soon. Mr. Deputy Speaker, this, as you've heard from colleagues across the House, is a very good bill indeed, which I am pleased to support. There are, however, a number of concerns which have sort of been brought up in other ways by other people during this debate that I wanted to also underline. I do very much believe, Mr. Deputy Speaker, that the PCN abbreviation, the fact that that is used by the private parking companies as a parking charge notice compared to the penalty charge notice issued by the police and civil authorities, is willfully misleading and should be stopped. So too should we look at the way that private parking companies are allowed to design the waterproof wrappers that they use for tickets, the tickets themselves and the language within them. There is a clear attempt to make those tickets look like they have come from the civil authorities or from the police. In my experience, Mr. Deputy Speaker, and the experience of many of my constituents, signage in private car parks is inconsistent. At best, that could be down to poor maintenance or a mistake. But at worst, it might be argued, Mr. Deputy Speaker, that that poor signage is again a deliberate act to confuse or deceive. Another development, Mr. Deputy Speaker, that I have found unhelpful is these car parks in which you can now only park with an app. What I have found, Mr. Deputy Speaker, is that some of those apps are absolutely excellent. It is not the case that you can only park in car parks on the Great Western Railway network if you use the AppCoa app. But that app is very good indeed, Mr. Deputy Speaker. There will be many people in this House who have experience of using it. But there are other car parks, one belonging to a very fine hotel in Bristol, who insisted that you use the app to pay for your parking. It turns out that some years earlier, when the company was in a very different guise, I had used an online parking facility with that company and given across my card details, and I could no longer remember any of the login details, Mr. Deputy Speaker, and it turned out that there was no facility for me to reset my membership, there was no facility for me to be able to access this app, but because I had entered the car park, I would be charged, and if I wasn't able to pay through the app, then I would have to accept the ticket and appeal it on the basis. And I just thought, Mr. Deputy Speaker, the fact that the company could do that was quite extraordinary, especially as I had entered the car park and had incurred the charge before any of this became clear to me. That could have been a unique and extraordinary experience experienced by almost nobody else, but it does perhaps indicate just how unregulated and unreasonable the private parking industry can sometimes be. Mr. Speaker, I think what underlines all of the things we've heard today better than anything else is that in all of our experience when dealing with casework, we've heard again and again that when you challenge these private parking companies, they capitulate almost immediately. Very, very rarely do they stand their ground, which I think indicates exactly how thin the ice they're skating is on. And I agree with colleagues across the House who have said that access to DVLA data very clearly is a privilege for companies who behave correctly and should not be something that we allow for those who repeatedly behave very badly indeed. I have great pleasure in supporting the bill this afternoon, Mr. Speaker.